Citroen may be huge in France, but it's never been a massive player in Australia. But the brand is hoping to ramp things up a bit with this. It's called the C3 Aircross, a new small SUV. So an important car then? You betcha. It's one size fits all with the C3 Aircross. Automatic transmission, 1.2 litre, 3-cylinder engine and front wheel drive. Equipment levels are actually pretty high, which is good because the price ain't cheap. You're looking at $32,990 plus on road costs. But for that you get things like wireless phone charging, you get automatic air conditioning, you get auto headlights, auto wipers, and AEB or autonomous emergency braking. But there is a catch with that auto emergency braking. It only works up to 30 kilometres an hour, so it's never going to save your life. It's only for low speed crashes. In the centre there's also a 7-inch touchscreen which looks the business, and it's got a proper volume knob so you can adjust the audio levels pretty quickly. But the more you delve into it, the more frustrating it gets. Things like ventilation, for example, simply adjusting the temperature in the cabin. You've got to first press a button that takes you to that menu and then you go adjusting the temperature. So from that perspective, a little bit frustrating. They've tried to pack a bit much in. Now you might be thinking a 1.2 litre engine, what's that going to do? And yes, in terms of outright power, it's not exactly overloaded. When you get into it, you're going to notice that it starts to struggle a little bit, but it's actually really flexible, a fair bit of torque down low in its rev range. From 1500 revs, which is almost nothing, it's just off idle, you've got full torque, so it actually pulls reasonably strongly. It's fine for around town, and even on a freeway at 100, it gets along okay. One thing the engine does have, which is sort of rare in this end of the market, is a bit of character, a bit of verve. So it's got that great mid-range torque, but then you step on it and just the way it revs, it's got a really cool note to it. The Aircross is all about being light and easy to live with. So things like the steering, for example, quite light, but it is fairly direct in the steering and it hangs on pretty well around bends. Also got a bit more of a grown-up feel on some of those small SUVs that it competes with. So a little bit more maturity to the way it deals with bumps, but that said, you're never going to mistake it for one of those large SUVs. Now the Aircross is classified as a small SUV. You're not going to get miles of room in the back, but in terms of headroom and so on, it's pretty good up front. There's one caveat to that. In the passenger seat, it's noticeably higher than the driver's seat, so you sort of feel like you're sitting unnaturally up high. Citroen is trying to play the fun card with the C3 Aircross, so you've got some pretty funky colours going on, and if you want anything other than white, it's another $590, but you do get some pretty cool hues into the mix. You can even get things like a contrasting roof, and if you look at the side windows, they've got graphics on them, sort of stickers or stripes on them. It's because those windows are actually plastic. Elsewhere too, there's some interesting design elements going on, even the finishes and so on inside. And they've got a whole bunch of these things they call squircles, so a cross between a circle and a square, basically sort of squares with rounded edges. Now the Aircross sits about 20 millimeters higher off the road than a regular C3, so it sort of gives you a bit of that higher ride height, but it's not exactly made for off-road. You're only driving the front wheels, so from a traction perspective, there's not a whole lot going on, but obviously this is more an around-town SUV. The C3 Aircross is unlikely to have Toyota or Mazda running for cover, but it does add some depth to that small SUV class. Now for a full review, check out practicalmotoring.com.au.